Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time FPL, our weekly fantasy Premier League football podcast. I'm Nathan, this is Mike, and if you've not met us before, hello, welcome to the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you're enjoying the content, let us know. It's on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so easy to find us. But today, we talk about a game week where the obvious captain choice didn't hold for once. We were speaking about Cole Palmer being the obvious captain choice. He managed to get a goal in his last game. To be fair, or an assist, sorry. To be fair, he missed the target twice against Spurs. Nevertheless, we move on. But we're going to talk about last week's recap. It's a bit of a late podcast today. It's a Friday day. It's a Friday deadline day podcast, just because we wanted to have the Spurs game, the Chelsea and Spurs game to talk about as well. But yeah, we're here today. Mike, what's up?
Yeah, there was I don't regret that, Cole Palmer. I still think that statistically we made the good choice there. There are some other standout picks, but just if we start with Chelsea, the fact that Petrovic was a master stroke by Nate the Great. I have to admit that there's a little bit of luck there.
Yeah,
because
I'll even admit that.
Is Petrovic has conceded a lot of goals, and Chelsea have been more of a goal threat than a defensive.
Yeah, not solid.
Wall.
Yeah,
they aren't solid. So at the back, so I thought your Petrovic pick was brave, but over 2 game weeks it worked out really well. So that was pretty impressive. Gusto still being injured and Chelsea having 11 players injured does not help.
No,
it does not help. But one player that was brought in last week by a number of people, which was a little bit of a hot take, was Nicholas Jackson for the double game week 2.
And he
did his business. So something we'll talk about a little later when we look ahead, but Nicholas Jackson as well. But let's talk about the standout pick here for this week, because both of us didn't punt him hard in the podcast, but both of us brought him in.
Oh yeah.
And his name is Isak.
The Swedish, I was going to say Swedish version of Latin, but Latin is Swedish, so I guess the newsletter. Yeah, no, he's been getting good points for FPL and for Newcastle recently. I think he scored in the last 3 game weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So I brought him in for the double game week coming up next week. I'm assuming that's what you did as well. For those of you who don't know, Newcastle have a double game week. We'll go over the teams later, but that was the main reason why. And I mean, he's on a hot streak of form. And you actually plugged him earlier this season, like a few times. So he's paying off.
When we kind of had Haaland, Watkins, and Solanke as our main strikers. There wasn't space for him. And Newcastle also had a dip in form. But they seem to be back to winning ways, or at least scoring goals. They look like they're going to finish the season strong. They have both fixtures on their side, a double game week. They just really have a lot in the bank for them right now. But just speaking about informed players, I think that last game week, Newcastle really showed that they have what it takes to grind out results.
Yeah.
And, push. And they score big. That was a 5-goal haul.
Yeah.
Against Sheffield United, just to be like, hey, you've been relegated. Here's 5 goals. So
here's a parting gift. Something for you to remember the Premier League by.
And then Chelsea can't even beat Sheffield United and draw against him. So that's life. Another flop of the week. I think we should make that a segment. I'm the flop of the week because I punted a player from a team that I dislike. And he got bonus points, and that's all he got. His name is Bruno. And not only did he get bonus points with no goals and assists and Man United draw, the inconsistency that I warned myself about in the past came back to bite me in the butt.
Yeah.
But he also is now injured and a doubt for Monday night.
That's tough.
It's a tricky one. I hate when it's a Monday night fixture because it means extra days to recover. So it's a chance that he can recover.
Yeah.
But he's a doubt. And a doubt for a 10-egg team that's not consistent means that it's a good opportunity as the season ends to try some new things out. And that's why it was a bit of a dud decision.
Good. Also on that, pivoting to defenders, good calls on the Arsenal defense. The Arsenal defense have been solid. They didn't get a clean sheet this week, but I know in the last double game week they managed to keep a clean sheet. In this past game week against Spurs, I mean, it was always going to be a tough game, but I think going forward it is someone to still hold a double Arsenal defense. On Arsenal's case, they're obviously gunning for the league. Kai Havertz continues to haunt Chelsea by being one of the best informed players at Arsenal at the moment. I mean, if I just go back to his fixtures, he scored and assisted against Spurs. He scored twice against Chelsea. He blanked, but then he scored and assisted against Brighton before. So he's hauling some big points, and maybe it would be worth moving Saka onto kind of a Kai Havertz and fitting in that premium Ben White in defense with Saliba or Gabriel and Ben White, any one of those combos, save your money.
That being said, Saka still
actually getting points though. I know, yeah. He did score and assist this past week. Had I kept him. So, but I mean,
as on Havertz, he's a big game player. Right?
Yeah.
He scored the Champions League winning goal. And the reality is for Arsenal, every game right now is a big game.
Yeah, so he's showing up.
Every game is a cup final. And so he will show up. He will play a little different than your typical striker. But for these style of games and the pressure they're under, he's the perfect type of striker. He's not a waste of space on that field. Almost like a false nine creative striker that holds plays his game a little deeper. So rather than a man to find in the out front, but he has that turn of pace, the ball control, and the flair that Arsenal play with. And another dad of the week. Okay? Dad of the week. We had flop of the week. We had dad of the week. The relationship between Salah and Klopp souring on the sidelines of the game resulted. That was a sad way to end the FPL season. King of FPL for the last couple of years. Mohamed Salah is going out with a whimper.
And no goal, no assists, no contributions, no goals, on the bench.
Assists. I don't doubt that he can turn it around because apparently everything is resolved between the two of them. But with Liverpool now out of the title race, in my opinion, unless something drastic happens, they're out of the title race. And on top of that, just on your double up on Liverpool defenders, keep this in mind, Virgil van Dijk is out of the next game. Does that not mean that defensively they're not going to be as solid? So, and what impact does that have on the forward players? So, interesting times. How do you have Haaland in your team still?
I do have Haaland in my team. He came in for Foden. As we've discussed and agreed on, you need to have Haaland or Foden. So I started Foden over Haaland. Foden didn't play, so Haaland came on and he got me 5 points. So
he did still score points. I still do think you got to keep Haaland for the double game week or Foden.
No, Haaland will find form now to win City the league. It's the way it is, I think.
It is the way.
It is the way.
But Foden was injured last week, and he's actually okay. So Pep basically said Haaland is good to go, but Foden is on the okay. That I don't know how to interpret that. Does that mean he starts from the bench?
Does that mean he's trying to throw the other team off? Maybe Foden even plays. Who knows?
I'm just glad that City did get some points, and Haaland on my bench got his 5 points. So I'll probably start Haaland definitely this week. And I was toying with bringing Foden in, but if Pep says Haaland is good to go and Foden is okay,
probably safer with Haaland.
Foden's on the bench.
Yeah.
Haaland starts, and it might mean that Doku starts for sure. So I might keep Doku that one more week before I go back to Foden for the
Count Doku. I wanted to mention quickly for those of you that had Fabian Schär from Newcastle. I think they posted on X that he's out for the rest of the season. So those of you that were planning on doubling up for Newcastle, maybe on the defense or maybe one attack, one defense or whatever for the double game week, because they also have a double game week next week, you'll probably have to use your transfer to move him on. And I would say Dan Burn's probably the best shout to bring him in. Half the price, $1 mil cheaper, frees up some funds, and then maybe you could look at bringing in Isak.
Yeah, and if we're transitioning now to looking ahead, any player we talk about from this point on needs to be one of those players that's a double game week player.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking about bringing anybody to balance your team up for next week, not this game week, but for next game week. You got to find players with a good game week this week and the double game week next week. Now remember, this is complicated because I got Bruno Fernandes. He may be injured right now, but I'm keeping him for the double game week. Right? I'm not getting rid of him.
Yeah.
I've got Doku now, but I might have to get rid of Doku next week because I believe Foden is the better option.
Yeah.
If I have the money. And as for Salah and Diaz, Salah's just eating funds. We spoke about this.
Yeah.
We spoke about, he's obviously not fasting anymore. So
do you think Klopp said to Salah, you bench, you're going to Saudi anyway? And then Salah was like, yeah, but you leaving Liverpool anyway. And then that's why they were fighting.
Apparently a lip reader said something along the lines of that Salah said, fine, I'll get a red card then. Or something like, it was almost as if what I interpreted by what the lip reader said, and then he said something about 7 years of service. This is Salah. So I'm interpreting that Klopp kind of maybe made a joke and was like, just don't get a red card. And then Salah was emotional. That's what I'm assuming happened.
I mean, it's all speculation. We'll never know. We'll never know. But yeah, it's fun to try and figure out what they were saying.
So looking ahead,
yes,
who are the best players to bring in for this game week on top of the double game week? And remember, just remind everybody, those teams coming up for the double game week, not this week, but the next week, is Man United, Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, Spurs, and the big dogs, Man City.
The big dog. Gotta let big dog eat. For those of you that still don't have Cole Palmer, what are you doing? Because he's 49% owned. So I would say, if anyone, you need to bring him in because he's got a double fixture next week. And they're playing West Ham at Stamford Bridge this week. And what have we learned? Home form. Chelsea's home form is incredible. It really is, actually. So what are you doing? Just bring him in. Even if you're not a Chelsea fan, just bring him in. Definitely Foden. But I'd also maybe look at potentially Garnacho as a bit of a side rogue pick because Crystal Palace this weekend, it is away, but Crystal Palace isn't the strongest sides for keeping clean sheets. And then United have the double game week next week. So maybe Fernandes to your Garnacho is the play. Who knows? But I would definitely suggest Garnacho.
I'd have one of them. And I see the two of us going down the Fernandes versus Garnacho road. I'm staying with Fernandes because Fernandes
is a long week, yeah. I
think he's only missed one game, if even that, this entire season.
That's incredible. And wow.
I think he will fight to be fit for this game coming up. And if he doesn't make it, he'll definitely be ready for the double game week.
Yeah.
I think Garnacho is a good pick for this week. I think Fernandes is the better pick for the double, but you got to go which way.
Yeah.
You got to choose your own adventure here, and I'm on the Bruno Fernandes pathway, and you can stay on the Garnacho one. And there's a reason why you're winning this game. So
yeah,
everyone out there knows what the right pick is.
There's two other players that I've just written down. I did plug him a while ago as a cheaper alternative, but it's Chris Wood from Nottingham Forest. I know he didn't score this past week, but he's got a good fixture coming up, and he has normally scored consistently for them in the past. They play in Sheffield this weekend, and as we know, Sheffield are kind of out of it, and they're not the best at keeping clean sheets. So if you are looking, instead of Muniz, who I must say has turned out to be a really good choice, maybe you could look at Chris Wood. And then the last person that I want to mention has gone under the radar, I suppose, but it's Vardiol from City. He's created a lot of chances. He's even taking shots on goal. He's even scoring those shots on goal. Maybe he'd be worthwhile to bring in moving forward. He's only at 5 mil, so maybe those of you that are moving away from Shea, maybe you can move to Vardiol. But I mean, his points have been really big over the last 3 weeks.
One more player that I want to plug is Spurs, because I doubted Spurs' ability over the last double game week, but this double game week, we have Spurs at home to Man City, at home, which would give the title to Arsenal. It is going to be a big game, Tuesday the 14th of May, a title-deciding game, not for Spurs, obviously. And there's also Spurs versus Burnley at home. what have we said about home games? We have 2 home games for Spurs, a big one and a small one. And for me personally, like I didn't trust Son over the last 2 game weeks, but this not, and I don't know if I trust Son this game week, because this game week Spurs is playing Liverpool away from home. So I'm thinking,
to be fair, both Spurs, sorry to interrupt, but both Spurs and Liverpool are shocking at the moment. So that game could go either way. They're really good.
No, that's true. And I don't know if I want to put my money on Son this game week, but I definitely want him
next game week. Yeah.
So if you are out there and looking at Spurs and you think that Van Dijk's injury is going to cause Spurs to potentially
get
have
more
an
goals,
advantage,
then
pull in Son, because he's a good player for the double.
Yeah, I got Son in my team. I might double up and bring in Maddison. Well, third up, I'd say, because I already have Porro sitting on my bench. I've stacked up on their players for the double game week. It's very unfortunate their form has dipped. No one would have seen it coming, but it is what it is. The game's the game.
The way Spurs play, they're not the type of team that has like just consistent good games, consistent bad games.
Yeah, they'll thrash you 6-0 and then lose 3 games. And then...
They will have a good game against Man City. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it here. Live, not live.
Pre-recorded.
Spurs beats Man City and Arsenal win the title, and Spurs become a bigger joke because they just added the title to their London drive. So, you heard here, folks. That's what's happening on Tuesday, the 14th of May. Cannot wait.
Oh, no, that's so funny. Oh, wow. Can you imagine the scenes? They're supposed to be Arsenal contingency plans from Spurs. They're not supposed to give them the title. So maybe they'll lose intentional. Who knows? But yeah.
And the defeat to Chelsea put more pressure on Spurs, right?
Yeah.
To actually get a win. And Spurs have a decent record against Man City. So if there was anywhere that a Man City could trip, that's the game.
That's funny. It's funny how it works, though, because it's not normally like this. But on paper, technically, Arsenal thrashed Chelsea 5-0 and Chelsea beat Spurs. That means Spurs are worse than Chelsea against Arsenal. So technically, City should win. But that's just on paper. It's never that simple.
On the top of that, Man United versus Arsenal for the double game week is also going to be fire. Now, I'm looking ahead to predict what to do this week. But, there's some big games coming up. But I still believe in this game week, doubling up on the Arsenal defenders is going to be a good idea. Bringing in those players from double game weeks for next week with good fixtures this week is going to be a good idea. And I think the standout player for me this week is most likely the same guy we spoke in the beginning of the podcast about and the end of the podcast about. No, not that one.
Oh, no.
I'm thinking Isak.
Yeah.
Isak away from home versus Burnley. Burnley are almost relegated, and I think this is Isak could continue his form.
Yeah.
Is there any player particularly this week you're looking at going, tasty?
Garnacho against Palace. But realistically, Cole Palmer. I'm just going to captain Cole Palmer. And now we discuss captain picks. Because who do you think is your best captain? I personally think, I'm sure you would agree, it's a toss-up between Palmer and Haaland. It's funny how we're talking about 2 City players. My captain's in choice, technically.
I would extend that a little more, okay? Firstly, Arsenal versus Bournemouth. Arsenal at home, but it's the first game of the Saturday, which always throws up some random results. Arsenal under pressure. You were speaking about Havertz. There's also Saka. So there is Saka-Havertz debate on a captain. You also have Haaland, like you said, he's standard, and he's back, and he's probably fit and at 100% if Pep says he's good to go.
Yeah.
It means he's coming out of the repair workshop, all those parts
Factory
of the
reset.
place. And Wolves are up and down, and it's the last game on Saturday. So I think my money here is a home game with Man City keeping pressure on Arsenal. Cole Palmer would be a very good vice captain, as he always is. Man United pick, my only worry about Man United pick is that it's away from home. And I think for the rest of the season, I'm not captaining a player that's away from home.
I mean, that's good. That's good.
Really sure.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. It's a good idea because there's only 3 weeks left of the Premier League. And then that's that. Can you believe it? We've come to the end. Game week 36, double game week 37, and then 38, and that's that. But before we end off, what's your plan for next week? Because I'm planning to play my final chip, which is my bench boost, which is why I'm trying to load up on as many double game week players as I can and to throw that bench boost in, just to see if I can break into that 100k overall finish. Currently sitting at 200, so we'll see.
Listen, I'm the best of the rest here. I need to try and just get to the best of the rest, which means I'm officially not trying to take you on. I'm just trying to at least finish second or third or somewhere up there in the upper echelons of the FPL Added Time Home League. So for me, my plans are the same, but I have no bench boost. The idea is bring in players to set up your double game week that are going to do well. I've already made my first change. Fire. I hinted earlier. Nicholas Jackson.
Ooh.
I think Nicholas Jackson is going to have some late season form.
I think ever since he shaved his head, he's been quite good, to be fair.
I think he's always in a sniff of a chance for goals. And I'm not going to miss the double game week opportunity coming up next week. And so I'm going to go with the Nicholas Jackson Palmer double up. I also don't think there's that many forward choices that are really good for the double game week. No. And so to me, my forward line, injuries pending, will be Haaland, Isak, and Jackson this week and next week.
That's good.
I think all of them are double game week players. All of them can score points, and all of them are in some vein of form somewhat. They are coming off the back of scoring some points. So I'm hoping that this week, that's my one change so far. Holding Bruno Fernandes for the double, right?
Yeah.
I am considering what to do with players like Salah. I've got Son, which I've already got for the double game week as well. Yeah. So I'm preparing for that. So it looks like I'm expecting Liverpool to lose this week. And if I was going to bring up anybody else, it's considering how to handle the Man City game week. I also have an injury to Almori, and Lewis isn't playing. So I don't know if that means that I need to look at another defender.
Maybe Vardy.
Or maybe if I want to go for Lewis out, but I might actually, because I don't have the bench boost. You need to, because you may be the bench boost. I might be going for someone along what you recommended earlier. Double game week next week, both home fixtures. So that for me shouts a player that's playing at home twice for the double game week, but had a good game week this week. So who would that be? That's a Spurs defender. So maybe I'm going back to Pedro Porro.
Maybe. There you go. Lots of decisions to make. But
what about you?
For me, I'm rolling a transfer this week to just have 2 for next week. I'll probably end up going Vardiol.
Who are you keeping points for?
What? Transfers?
No. What is the point? 4 point. You're like a 100 point lead. What's the 4 points? What you keeping the 4 points for? Gotta spend the money to sorry, carry on.
Hey, this is the Nathan Downfall plan that you're plotting here. I don't like it.
Sorry.
No. Yeah. So Vardiol in Jackson might be a shout. It honestly might be a shout for next week. So maybe I can upgrade Moonies to Jackson because I'll have the funds because I got rid of Salah. Hopefully that doesn't bite me. But yeah, so that'll be my plan moving forward to next week. Otherwise, everyone else in my team is set. I've got Spurs, I've got City, I've got Man United, I've got Newcastle, I've got Arsenal. So yeah, that'll be my plan.
We just hit time up. Look at that.
And on that bombshell.
Everybody, have a good game week.
Yes.
Don't be despondent with your position in the league. Sometimes you just gotta, take the knocks. You know that next season is your season. Look at the top and say, well done, but fight your way amongst the rest of the filth underneath the leader.
Yes.
And that's what I'm going to do. Don't be despondent. Just fight to the very end, and regardless if you come in second.
If you don't have a mini league, join ours. There's always
yeah, I was going to be lit next year. Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm going to come for a vengeance.
The dethrone Nathan situation.
The Dark Knight Returns. That's what's going to happen.
There we go. But we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It'll be earlier next week because we'll have more time. And then that will be a preparation for a long double game week the following week. So plan accordingly. Use your transfers wisely. Think about what you want to do. Let us know in the comments who you captaining this week. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.